Good morning. Today's words for the prompt are Endorse cover. So look at that. It was just on the screen before I said that as well. Anyway, hello. How are we all doing? Actually, I have an idea for this one. When I first saw this prompt, I thought, I have no idea. Then realised there's a really obvious interpretation of this in the current climate. Trying to work out whether something's on the screen or on the canvas. It's a bit weird. I really wish I'd taken notes on the room. That's... Oh, it's drawing in tiny pencil. Okay. That's a bit too thick. There we go. That'll do. So I'm again listening to music while I do this. Not because neighbours are making noise, but because it seemed to work out well yesterday. And I have a Spotify playlist of covers. Specifically covers in other genres from those in which they were written. So at the moment, it's a string quartet version of Another Brick in the Wall. As you do. Trying to actually use proper technique for face drawing for once. It's not going great, I'll be honest. I should have paid better attention. Metal Smooth Criminal. Okay. Whose? Alien Ant Farm. I think this is one that I found looking for examples for pub quiz, where my music round was covers of well-known songs and who is the original rather than who are you listening to now. This is not a self-portrait. Weirdly, I did do self-portraiture for my subject in GCSE art. Which I only really started drawing after GCSE art. So I got into portraiture through GCSE art and then didn't do any... my GCSE art was awful. You can see quite a bit of it on my Facebook page, to be honest. I didn't fail, but I was in a set with some very good artists, which is incredibly demotivating just to look over at the next desk and say, "Oh, you've done that in the time I've crapped this out." Okay, cool. But honestly, this month is probably the most drawing that I've done since that. So, roughed in vague human head shape. Let's get rid of that guideline because it can be deceptive. That head is too deep and not tall enough. Like, I'm finally getting into a mindset of not finding drawing a very intimidating thing to do. Because, like, a blank sheet has a lot of potential until you start doing something on it. At which point, you've sort of sullied it if you don't use it to its full potential. And that full potential is intimidating. That looks horrifying at the moment. In fact, I'll have them looking over here. I should pull up reference images of faces, really, but we've got this far without me doing so, you know. I'd say I don't really know how short hair goes around ears. Like so. Just essentially feeling for where the roots of mine are so I can see where hair is and isn't. It's a surprising way back. This face currently looks horrifying, and I hate it so much. Alright, I thought I'll go into this and draw a proper face using decent face drawing technique and things. And it turns out, wow, a technique that I haven't learned gets worse results than not using a technique. Make the hair a bit longer, see if that helps matters at all. I'm better at drawing long hair than short hair because, like, it moves in predictable ways. Now, several years back, Yiddish klezmer cover of Du hast. Several years back, I looked up some essentially masks that you can Google fairly easily, which represent sort of an average masculine and feminine face shape each. And I took an average of the two by converting them to a series of... That eye is awful. into a series of coordinates in Excel. And taking an average of those coordinates and putting out a scatter graph, or a scatter plot, sorry, of the result. And asking people, does this face look more masculine or feminine to you? And the only thing that seemed to sway it from people seeing it as whichever they were was the size of the iris. The iris and pupil, the larger they are, the more people see it as a feminine face. That's horrible. What's going wrong here? Tell you what, here's a first. I had a page of reference images open. Why don't I just use one? I am essentially just copying straight off a reference image now, which is a lot of cheating, but it is not a mandible. That ear really ties the whole head together. Sentences you never want to hear, eh? So, on endorsed covers, the first thing that came to mind was a conversation I was having earlier this week. I can't remember who with. Yeah, it's a face mask. having a conversation earlier this week with someone about Johnny Cash's cover of Hurt, because people think of it as a Johnny Cash song. And by people, I mean that includes the guy who wrote it. It's not Johnny Cash, because it was Nine Inch Nails originally. And they heard Johnny Cash's version and said, it's a Johnny Cash song now. Jeremy, did you join late enough not to see the first aborted attempt at me drawing a face? Because it was truly awful. Things to remember. Eyes are spherical, and therefore what I did before of being able to see the corner of that eye, appalling. Don't do it. I couldn't figure out why it was hideous, I just knew it was. Or I could figure out why it was hideous, but not what to do about that. One thing that's really useful for face drawing, when it comes to character drawing at least, is places have collected photos of or pictures of the average face from various countries. So if you're looking to draw a character and you know whereabout they're from, you can look up what the sort of average face there looks like. It needs to be flatter, really. This face can deflect a small portion of laser beams directed at its eyes back again. Which all eyes can because they're slightly reflective. Well, they're very reflective. Even the bit that's job is just to allow light to pass through it is surprisingly reflective. Eyes aren't very good at their one job. I mean, they're good enough. A bit of Coop Poison Simpson. That iris needs to be smaller. See, the problem with this one is much the same as the problem with Rice Memorial. Because I'm just focusing on one thing, which is in itself hard to draw well, but okay to draw without too much attention. I have to draw it with attention. So, like, this face, I've taken more time on it than I spent on Steve Buscemi's face yesterday. And it still looks less like a face than that one looked like Steve Buscemi. Right iris looks like Asian lettering. I don't actually know which you mean by right iris, because one's right to me and the other's right to person staring. Okay. That's passable enough for me to move on to worrying what's wrong with the nose. That iris still needs to go up a bit. Not iris pupil. You know what I mean. Resulting in that also going up a bit further. Jeremy was saying yesterday, was it yesterday? That the first thing he'd seen me draw was a rainbow platypus with a rainbow nickel harp, which was one of the first things I drew with this tablet. And it seemed strange at the time, but the more I draw, the more it seems to be in keeping with stuff. Let's bring them down a little. Uh, okay. I think I'm gonna dig about a little more over here. Uh, get the general idea for what shading is going on there. And there. Ah, that's what it is. Get weird moments listening to cross-genre covers because, okay, I know this is Vitamin String Quartet, but what the hell are they covering? Oh, pour some sugar on me. It's great, you can listen to a single track and feel like you have an eclectic taste in music. Sounds absolutely nothing like the original. One thing, it's about twice the speed, I think. The annoying thing is that the pencil tool is really good for hair. And when something's got hair, like a face, that means I often end up leaving the pencil layer when I just wanted to put it down for guidelines. I have no idea what that noise was. So, I'm gonna ignore the reference image from this point on. And I think I'm going to end up just making this pencil layer more transparent rather than getting rid of it. I'm probably erasing it around the edges. Is this guy in the sky? Yeah. I'm just going to check if this is on shuffle, because I'm getting a lot of string quartet. It is on shuffle. I could. I could have avoided a lot of things that I haven't avoided, to be fair. Let's soft erase that to leave it as a sort of guideline. Now, I recently posted a work in progress that I drew of a person with a beard, which a lot of people said, wow, how did you do the beard? And you're about to see how I did the beard, and it's a largely nonsense process, which probably shouldn't actually work. Which is, I mean, as I've said quite often in sort of the bump for these streams, my creative process is garbage. So I've drawn a load of pencil there, and you can kind of see the look I'm going for, but it's also not quite landing. You will never get all bits of hair in ponytail. What the hell are you doing over there? Right. So now I've done that. Sort of do a soft erase over it and do the whole damn thing again. Like, if you blur your eyes now, you can see where I'm going with it and how it's going to end up being the right sort of thing. But that's a thing which it currently is not. Hi, Mum. Each time you do this, you're sort of putting a layer of shine on a lower layer of hair, which gives it shine and texture. How's hanging wallpaper going? And I thought you were doing paint. So when you were talking about hanging wallpaper yesterday, I was thinking, where are you hanging paper? Because I've seen you painting in what used to be my bedroom. I say what used to be my bedroom. At this point, 3 rooms in that house used to be my bedroom at some point. Oh, you're taking the paint back down again? Is that what it is? This is why I so prefer drawing long hair. Because you can just cheat so much. And as someone who's come to digital art from pencil, you can cheat in ways that really work with how I work. keep looking up at this reference image that I've still got up. And they are not wearing their hair in the way that I'm drawing this person's hair. You're just watching me enjoy drawing hair right now. So, having sat through me hating trying to draw a face, thanks for joining me doing something that I do actually feel relatively competent doing. The eyes are more like Jen's eyes than mine. It's not me that I'm using as a reference image, it's not Jen I'm using as a reference image either. Well, I did, now you mention the eyes, I did forget to put in eyelashes. Okay. Come out. Keyboard is all the way over there, I'm all the way over here. Occasionally, that causes culottes. You know how it is. Don't do that in pencil. Pen makes more sense. The ears are better than yesterday's because yesterday I was drawing from an artist, from not an artist, from a model who has particularly strange ears. I turned the hardness on that down earlier, and that's now coming back to bite me. And normally I do quite like drawing ears. And that was more drawn from memory than from this model's ears. Although this model, this section here, is slightly different to how I normally draw ears, which is interesting. Choosing a base colour for skin is weird. Because very little skin is actually the base colour. I mean, think to what I was doing in Rice Memorial. Of after the base colour went down, choosing, right, these bits are more pink and these bits are more yellow. And it leaves very little that's not either more pink or more yellow. The yellow is actually more like green. And like it's far more pronounced on paler skin. However, I am terrible at drawing non-Caucasian hair. So it's like, do I choose a race whose hair I can draw easily, or a race whose skin is less nonsense? Or just learn to do both? Which is obviously the correct answer. Learn to draw white skin better, and learn to draw black hair better. I have not used the fill tool today so far. I'm on the wrong layer. How long have I been on the wrong layer? Not very. It is, of course, entirely negated if I turn the pencil layer to a multiply layer. The brow's not furrowed and there's no facial hair. Actually, oh, it's the side that you wouldn't be able to see any. Yes, it's got far fewer wrinkles than I draw myself with. And also, that's not my hairline. Right, now let's switch to a hairbrush. Not a hairbrush, a paintbrush. For the hair, though. I have seen Nick's new face mask, but only upside down because that's how he decided to post it for some reason. The sun in splendor. This is the brush I've been using on the bear that I just posted on Facebook. I'm just going to block in some colour with it to begin with. But brushes are a bit weird to use. Because they blend colour rather than just laying it down. I think I'm just going to block down the colour for now because this is a single colour and therefore no texture is going to come from the brush for now. And it will make it easier dealing with the edges. In which case I should probably switch to something that's better for blocking in colour. Because you can see how transparent I must have been laying that down before. One thing I did use the reference image for on the ear was the top of the ear, because face masks sort of pull that down a bit. Now here, where there's no blending involved, really is best to be using ink than a brush. One thing with hair is I don't use my normal shading technique on hair. No, not multiply. What was it I came in here for? Background. So go right up to the edge of the neck. Right, now I can set about doing this bit. I've gone quiet again, sorry. My eyes work upside down as well. Once I've got this edge, I can start actually doing things. I've seen those goggles for watching TV while lying in bed. It's weird what your brain will adjust to. I think in the Discord server we're both in, Jeremy, that Bob recently shared the video of Destin of Smarter Every Day designing, building, and learning to ride a bike where the handlebars cause you to steer the other way. Now then. I'm learning to use the shortcuts on the pen as well. That's an eyedropper. Look. I want a lighter colour. And a slightly larger brush. Brain does all sorts of weird stuff. You see what I mean about it colour stretching though, because you can see from the colours I've got selected that right now it's just putting down white. I'm gonna get a smaller brush because this is really just highlighting. But if I do that, well, you can't really see it there. Interesting. But you can see it sort of pull yellow off the edge. Concentration face. The concentrate Rick. Like regular Rick, but with fewer words. Ah! No, no. Pen. Not pen. Paintbrush. Right. So in short, that's how I do hair. Oh grief, I've been going for an hour and coffee's gone cold. Right. Now let's get a very soft pinkening brush. And go over the bits that are pink. It's amazing how clever the brain of even the most absolute twit is. Just next time someone tells you the moon landing was faked, just consider for a moment quite how much genius wiring inside their brain is going on to allow them to say that. And just cry a little. You know? Hey! Should really do the eyes before I go on to anything else. Don't do anything all in one go, because you might want to erase or undo some of it. What if I just do... That's too big. That's good. Now we know that's perfectly round. But yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to leave the pencil layer on somewhat. Set this to behind. Oh, it is behind. That's good. And I can see over there where I've missed a bit. More paint. It is a very green shade of green. You go through a lot of levels of that doesn't look quite right on the way from having nothing on the page to having something that looks right on the page. And a lot of the time the difficulty is figuring out whether or not you're gonna ever get to a stage where it's not just wrong. What does that look look like? Yeah, going around the edges with brown is, I think, going to be the final stage of making these look like eyes. Well, not quite the final stage, because there is something that I've not done yet. They look surprisingly okay, though. But that one thing that I need to do is a spot sort of there-ish. I need to neaten up these edges somewhat. Okay, I'm gonna start a new shading layer now. And I've learned recently that it helps to set that to multiply for one thing. It helps to use actually quite a dark shade for the shading layer, because I've been using quite pale shades for it recently, and it doesn't really come out that clear. Whilst this is already sort of reading quite clearly. But strange. They are a pale blue, aren't they? I will come back and have a look at them. They are quite a distinct shade of blue if you have brittle bone disease. One thing that's worth noting is the glint on the eye. There's a reflection on the iris which goes in, so the lens comes out. I forget what it is that comes out, but the iris and pupil go in, so the reflection when light's coming from above is on the bottom of that, which is why I've done what I've done here. The jaw shading. I've got into this now. It's slow, but it's... Oh. I don't know at what point I decided, yeah, let's just do a face painting. But it's not a decision I'm regretting yet. Thank you, face masks, for giving me a reason to draw a face without having to draw a mouth. Oh, did I do that white spot on the pencil layer? I did, and all. That was stupid. That's still set on behind. I'll still say behind instead of background, even though that's the GIMP terminology for it. There we go. What have I missed shading wise? Let's go back. Grab me shading colour. Go back to a large brush. Because this whole area needs to be darker than it is. So, I hope this afternoon's drawing's proven more enjoyable than abominations that have happened other times that you've been watching. A wax seal to remove the mouth. A seal of approval. That would be endorsed cover. I am now listening to a string quartet cover of Defying Gravity. But I don't really know Defying Gravity. I know Defining Gravity, a song by Acapella Science, which is an acapella parody of this, performed by Diana Cowan and Melinda Kathleen Reese. How did I forget it was Melinda Kathleen Reese? Good grief. Anyhow, it's excellent. Look it up. Melinda Kathleen Reese also does translator fails. Why is that not doing anything? Because I'm on a blend tool. Translator Fails is great fun. And thoroughly recommend it. Diana Cowan is actually a physicist, so and also hasn't done any other music on YouTube to the best of my knowledge, which is bizarre because she's got a hell of a voice, and that is the only video I know in which she sings. Yes, she's Isaac Newton to Melinda Kathleen Reese's Albert Einstein talking about gravity to the tune of Defying Gravity. It's great. Way better use of your time than watching me do this. New layer. Helix. And let's get a rougher brush. Let's pick a fairly bright, warm colour. See what happens when I do this. Okay, I need it to be warmer than that. Link, please. Can someone else post a link? Because it'll probably confuse me quite a bit to be going looking for it. Oh no! I didn't set it to screen. So that's coming out way too strong. Let's soften that up a bit. The names of the singers won't necessarily find it. But... I've put in chat the name of the channel and the singers. Majora's Mask is not an approved cover. It's not approved cover, is it? What's the prompt? Endorse cover. Endorsed. Nah. Not feeling that. Set this to background. Where's background? It's near erase. There it is. Oh, I've just set this weird calligraphy pen to background, which means I've now got to draw the mask in with this. Thankfully, the shading on the mask is already done. You can see bits where the face isn't quite opaque enough. I'll have to go over those in a moment. Actually, let's go back to the G pen to do it. Just the edges. Then we can smooth that in like that. And let's grab a bit more highlighting. Just somewhat darker because it's a bit more subtle. Okay. It has been nearly 2 hours, which is actually weirdly shorter than yesterday's stream, I think. But I'm way happier with that than I am with the result of yesterday's stream. What happens if I take the pencil off? I'll leave it half penciled. I might actually do a bit of erasing some of the pencil. Just to neaten up some areas. But that is Endorse cover. Much like Jimi Hendrix's version of All Along the Watchtower, which I believe Bob Dylan preferred to his own. That was surprisingly pleasant. Let's hope tomorrow is surprisingly something positive. Until then, thanks for joining me. I'll see you around.